Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I am making a sit-down video. This is super exciting because I've been doing vlogs, but I haven't done one of these in a while. So here we are. I was brainstorming like various different things to do, but what was most exciting for me was to kind of give myself a space on this channel to give you guys like a life update and really just like fill you in on what's happening within me, because I feel like you know some stuff. Like for example, I got married and I'm vlogging again, and I think I've mentioned things here and there, but I just wanted to like verbally process. We are sitting outside, it's cold, but I literally like spot checked a bunch of places in the house where I could set up the camera, and I like this the best because lighting's better, the background's better, the trees are nice. So yeah, as you can see, the title of this vlog is Cacao Chats. These are going to probably be more regular, like more of a regular series on this channel, just because they give me a chance to just free flow talk and share what's going on with me, and to create like, I don't know, just to help you get to know me better, because I know I'm doing vlogs and stuff, but a vlog is where I'm showing you the things that I'm doing in my day-to-day, but I also wanted to give myself a video format where I could share more of what's going on internally within me and things that I'm mentally processing, emotionally processing, etc. So I've got my gloves on, I've got my cacao, and for the next one, if you wanted, you could totally try out Cacao. I am actually an affiliate for a cacao brand that I love, Cacao with a K, and if you're interested in ceremonial cacao, you can just go to the link in the description and check it out. This video isn't sponsored by them, but honestly I've been drinking this almost every day since 2020, so I'm genuinely like a huge fan of it, and I love how it makes me feel. They have a lot of information on their website too about what it is, etc. But yeah, let's take a sip. Cheers. Oh, and if you don't have cacao, obviously you can get another beverage of your choice and just like hang out with me. So okay, pause the video here, get your drink, come back, and then we'll cheers. Okay, perfect. So cheers. Welcome back to a more regular, consistent reach. One of the biggest life updates I feel is that a huge part of myself has been reawoken now after like 3 years or so. I feel like that this part of me that was really into YouTube and putting energy and effort and creative life force into her YouTube channel or social media platforms, this version of me, I feel like she fell asleep for a few years while I worked on, you know, healing some of like the deeper layers of the traumatic events that I experienced over 2017, 2018, 2019. I feel like I went through those things, and then I immediately graduated university and then just went into post-grad life. I feel like I didn't really get to fully process all of the deeper emotional and somatic layers of those experiences. I did process a lot of it mentally, like for example the videos that I made on this YouTube channel and through the community that I created on here, but some of the really deep work, I think I just needed to be by myself in hermit mode. I had to figure out how to regulate my nervous system after growing up in an environment that was a very lovable household, but it was quite dramatic and quite chaotic at times. So basically when the pandemic happened and the whole world got a pause in their life, I got a pause too, and I really took that time to stop and deeply process. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I haven't even taken a sip yet. I said cheers and then didn't take a sip. Anyway, in that process, as you know, we also moved out of the city, which just enabled like further somatic healing, as in I was finally in this type of environment. Oh my god, there's a swan. You guys want to see? Can you do you see it? Let me zoom in. It's kind of hard. I don't want to tilt the camera because it's going to alter my framing. So yeah, as you can see, being in such a serene and quiet setting really let me chill to like the max capacity of chill I had ever experienced. You know, because there's something about living in the city where it's so fast moving and there's so much stimulus to constantly process. Like when we were living downtown Toronto, it's like we were living on a busy road or busy street, and there was always cars going by, honking, people talking, and I haven't read anything about it or really done proper research, but I can just imagine how much extra energy it takes to intake all of that sensory information, process it, sift through it. You know, like there's this whole thing going on constantly when you're in a busy setting where your body is constantly trying to figure out what's going on around you and staying alert in case you need to survive something. You know what I'm saying? But when you're here in nature, it's super quiet. When I'm sitting outside here, for example, it's like I just hear the leaves rustling, I hear the waves, I hear the geese and the swans, and it's just very, very different. So anyway, that launched me into this period of just like going super deep into a healing process, and I feel like I just came out of it. And I feel like what really felt like it marked me coming out of that place was when I reintegrated with my family, which obviously happened after I got married. And getting married has been a whole internal experience of its own. I mean, like a lot of people keep asking me and Garrett, oh, what's it like being married? Like, how's married life, etc. And the answer we keep giving people is like, well, it's the same. Like, it, in terms of how it looks in the day-to-day, it's exactly the same, nothing's changed. But for me personally, I don't know about Garrett, but for me, there's been a lot of internal identity upgrades that have taken place as a result of getting married that I guess I could have expected, but I just didn't fully see it coming. Like, I didn't fully see the intensity that I would feel at certain times in regards to these identity updates, and those mostly being around feeling like getting married is one of the first initiations into adulthood. I mean, I was thinking of making a whole other video with Garrett talking about the experience of getting married and what it was like for each of us and what we didn't expect from it, etc. But for now, I'll just say that getting married, it solidifies aspects of your reality. I mean, Garrett and I have always been super committed to each other. We'd been together for 8 years this October. And we've always been committed. I always saw him in my life. Like, when I projected out into the future, it was always like he was there. But the actual act of getting married and going through that like ceremony and the ritual of a marriage ceremony, it like collapsed timelines, if you know what I mean. It's like if you have all of these potential future realities that you can experience, when you go through like such a strong ceremony like that, ceremony that has its traditions over thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and you're being witnessed by friends and family, etc., it creates this very potent timeline collapsing where even if you were like committed before to this specific timeline of like being together with this person for as long as you live, getting married and going through that ceremony, it feels like you really committed to that. Do you know what I mean? And again, like, it doesn't really change anything in the day-to-day, but for me internally, there was a part of me that grieved those collapsed timelines and those other potential realities that I could have experienced. You know, like, I'm so happy to be where I am and to be on the path that I am right now, but at the same time, it's like, as a human being, you just want to experience it all. And getting married was like one of the first times I fully realized, like, oh, I actually can't experience it all in this one lifetime. That's why I also connect it to, like, it feels like an initiation into adulthood, because when you're a kid, the amount of possibilities and potentials of how your life can unfold, it's literally limitless. And then as you get older, you start making decisions that really solidify certain aspects of your reality, and the amount of possibilities decrease. So this was like the first time that I really felt that, and I wasn't fully expecting the intensity of it. And it took me a few months, I would say, to really come to terms with it and to process through, like, the grief of those potential futures that I will not live, you know? And I expect that the next big one is gonna be like having a kid, because having a kid is even more of a reality solidifier than getting married. So yeah, that's like the first thing that I wanted to talk about. The second is like reintegrating with my family. Like, that also just feels like a piece of me that's been offline has come back online. I used to explain it to my friends, like, this is for people who are into energetics and energy fields and things like that. It felt like a piece of my energetic field, or like my aura, was completely blocked off, because just the effect of being cut off from your biological family and your ancestry, like, it felt like a piece of me was literally missing. And reintegrating with them has been, it's so much of an easier process than I was expecting, because as the people who have been following me for a while know, there was just so much drama involved and conflict when the initial separation happened, that I was just expecting that same energy to be involved the whole way through that journey. But at the end, like, in this reintegration process, it's been so harmonious and peaceful and chill, and both sides' boundaries are being respected, and it's just not as big of a conflict as I was anticipating. Like, when I first agreed in my head mentally to myself that I was willing to do the nikah ceremony and to heal these, like, this rift between my parents and I was so afraid of how much stress that might bring into my life, or what it would look like. But as I just, like, kept putting one foot in front of the other and just kept dealing with things as they came, when I look back, it just, I'm like, that was super easy, actually. Like, that was way easier than I was anticipating. And now it's like, as an after effect, after the main things have happened, the wedding has happened. A few weekends ago, my parents came to visit us here, and they stayed at the cottage over the weekend, which was super fun. They met Luna, and they just kind of got to see the lifestyle that I've created for myself more firsthand. And I feel like that really, I don't know, it just really, like, again, using the word solidified, like, it solidified something in my experience, and it's been so nice. We have a car now too, so what my relationship looks like with my family now, it's like, whenever I go to Toronto, me and Garrett go and have dinner there, and I can call my mom and I can call my dad at any time, and there's no weird feelings. Like, even with my dad, honestly, I have a closer relationship now with my dad than I ever did in my entire life, which is crazy. Like, I can just call him and have a conversation with him, whereas before I didn't have that kind of relationship with him, slash I didn't know how to do that. Like, I'm sure he would have been down to do it, but based on how I grew up and all of these, like, resentments that I held towards him, it was just, I would never have done that before, you know? Like, I never had a friendship with my dad, whereas now I do, which is crazy, because I was like no contact with him for a few years. I was still talking to my mom here and there. With my dad, it was just like, I didn't like nothing. So it's been crazy. And then obviously like having my sisters back in my life again has just been so blessed. It's so cool to have access to that sisterhood again. It's like having a group of girlfriends, but it's like truly ride or die, if you know what I mean. So that's really cool. And I like the fact that I can just like message any member of my family and it's chill and it's just normal. There was like so many years where I just didn't think anything like this experience was possible. And yeah, so that's amazing. More sip. I just like talk so much and then I forget that we're supposed to be sipping our drinks. Next item on my agenda of things that I wanted to talk about in this video, my creativity is coming back, which is like super exciting because I feel like the creativity turned off at the beginning of the summer as I started dealing, like I first went on like my first ever solo international trip. I went to Croatia to visit my friend Anya. And then that's kind of where my creativity, the fountain of creativity that lives within me, kind of like slowed down and all like pretty much stopped. And then after the Croatia trip, it immediately went into wedding prep, and then the wedding, and then like processing the after effects of the wedding, both within my relationship, processing the grief of those collapsed timelines like I was saying, but also the after effects of processing all the feels that had been coming up around being with my family again, being with my parents again. So all of that processing, for lack of a better word, took up so much mental space and emotional space and like energy that I didn't have any extra energy to work on things or to create things. And for like September and October, I was just so bored because I just felt like I was in a void space where I wasn't really interested in anything. I made a Substack article in September, I think, where I talked about like I felt like I had post-accomplishment blues. Like I had a super mild depression from like it was just weird because it was like I had been working towards all these things for so many years and I finally got all of it all at once, pretty much. Healing the relationship with my family, big things like that, but also things like feeling financially safe, having a car, and all of those things kind of came into my life and by October. And so September and October I was just like, what do I do now? Like what do I do with all of this energy that I had been spending trying to figure out how to get all of these things? Like I've got all these things, so what do I do now? And I really took my time with it because I didn't want to go in a direction just because I was like running away from the feeling of being bored or like the uncomfiness of being in that void space or being in that space of like nothingness. I didn't want to just like rush into things, so I let myself, like I gave myself time. And then I would say end of October, it just hit me that being on YouTube again and really relighting the spark of my YouTube dream, my YouTube journey, and being outward in this way again and sharing myself in this way again to potentially like a larger and larger community, which in the last few years I kind of stepped away from because I didn't want as much attention on me as I was in hermit mode, as I was in like deep healing mode. So now it's like because all of these things, these cycles like concluded and I had the energy again, I feel like it has allowed me to step into this space again in a way that it feels like very similar to the passion that I had when I first started this YouTube channel, which is like crazy. But the biggest like exciting thing that, and the thing that's like the most different from when I started, from like the first few years of creating on this channel, I don't have any of that weight or burden of, or that pressure of trying to make sure that my videos are like well received by other people. Like I think when I first started my YouTube channel and the first few years, I just got so hyper fixated on views and engagement, and like I kept trying to prove myself, like prove my value in the world through my YouTube videos and through my social media content and stuff. And I don't feel any of that anymore because I just spent so much time processing through it and like dealing with it over the last few years. And over the summer when I was dealing with the wedding and everything, that was like the first period of my life since starting my YouTube channel where I just didn't post anything at all. Like I wasn't even active on Instagram stories. So that was like really helpful to have that pause. And then now as I come back, I have really been able to clarify and like refine my intentions behind creating these things. And at the core of it, it's like I'm doing it for, like I truly am doing it for me now, you know. Like there was always a part of me that was doing it for me, but that part of me got overshadowed by the part of me that wanted recognition and wanted praise and appreciation from others. But now I feel like I have learned over the last few years how to give what I was lacking, what I was trying to source from others. I've learned how to give it to myself. And so as a result, the majority part of me that wants to create these videos and be consistent on here and to find new and creative things to make and ways to make them, it is that part of me that's just like doing it for me and doing it for my own pleasure and my own play and creativity. And like when I'm making my vlogs, it's like I'm finally doing it for my own gaze, not for anyone else's. There's still that part of me inside though that wants the recognition and wants the engagement and etc. And I've learned, actually in the last few days, I've realized that it's important for me not to reject that aspect of me, because if I reject that aspect of me and continuously like push it away and act like it doesn't exist, it creates like tension in my experience. Whereas if I just let it exist but don't let it control me, for example, if I post something, it gets like 2 views there's still that part of me that will be upset about that. So instead of pushing away that part of me and being like, you're not allowed to feel upset about that. Instead of doing that, just acknowledge that I feel upset about that and do what I need to do to take care of myself in that moment. So if I need to take a break, if I need to take a nap, if I need to just like zone out, I can do that, deal with those feelings, but like not let that part of me discourage me from continuing on the path that I'm on, you know, like allowing myself to acknowledge that version of me, deal with it as I need to, but then move on and continue embodying like the bigger majority of me, which is now just doing it for me. Like I'm making vlogs and putting all this energy into editing and everything because first of all, it's fun. Like it gives me something to do. And the high that I get from editing and seeing myself and romanticizing my life in this way and reflecting on my life in this way, almost like from a third person perspective, like when I'm vlogging and I watch the vlog back, it's like I feel like someone who's just watching my life. You know, I just feel like another viewer of myself. And it's just a really cool perspective to have, especially when you're someone like me who just loves self-reflection. That's the main reason, and it just feels so nice to finally arrive at this place where I am creating from this energy and not from like any draining energies, because as a result I just have more capacity to make things. Like I finally have the capacity to not only make the YouTube videos and not only start working towards making weekly videos, but also making reels and short form content, which in the past few years, the thought of doing both of these things just felt so overwhelming to me. Like I was like, I do not have the mental capacity, the physical capacity, I don't have the stamina to do all of it. But now I feel like I do. I'm being patient with myself and letting myself build up gradually, but I know that I can do it. Like I know that I can hold the workload of like a full-time YouTuber, you know, and eventually it's like as my community grows and if I start getting like sponsorship deals and stuff, that's like a responsibility, right? Like right now I'm just making videos for me and like there's no deadlines, nothing, and the deadlines that I set are imposed upon myself. But if I want to go down this like career path truly, which I do, then eventually I'll be working with other people, I'll be collaborating with other creators, I'll be collaborating with other brands, and then the responsibility level increases. And I feel like I actually have the ability to hold that responsibility now, whereas a few years ago I was dealing with so many things and I was processing so many things that if that happened to me and if I got to that level where I was like to that level in the game where I was getting all these invitations from other people, I wouldn't have been able to sustain it or hold it, and it would have just been like super overwhelming and stressful and not a fun time. So it's cool. It's cool to be here now, and it's exciting to see how it goes, and I'm so excited to like stop recording this and like to edit because I haven't edited a sit down video in a while and it feels really fun. And then I'm excited to edit my reel / TikTok that I recorded. I'm just like excited to create just for the sake of creating, and I've spent so much time working towards getting to this place internally within myself, and I'm finally here and it feels so good. So yeah. Can you guys see my breath? It's cold but it feels nice to film outside. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. I love these. I love making these. I love just hitting record and just letting myself talk and seeing what comes out, because I honestly learn so much about my own self and my own, you know, people, you know that book The Artist's Way, and there's this exercise called morning pages where every day you just do stream of consciousness writing. I've done that practice before, but it's like sometimes my thoughts move so fast that it's actually more beneficial for me to do morning pages but in a video format like this, because I can just get information and words out faster. So anyway, thank you for watching me do that. It's also really cool to know that there's people receiving it on the other end of it, and that I'm creating some sort of like intimacy and relationship with others from the comfort of my hermit mode. From the comfort of my like cave. It's cool to do this for myself but then also connect with others. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next week. Bye!